Hi, I'm Ray Gonzalez, and I'm the Bari sax player for the Houston Jazz Orchestra. And today we're going to be checking out Etude 1 of the Region Jazz Saxophone Audition. The first thing I want to talk about is the swing style, and I want to give you a little bit of an exercise that I use with my students. What we want to do in considering the jazz style, or excuse me, the swing style, is the basic rule of thumb is when you've got a string of eighth notes, we want to slur into the downbeat. Let's just take a concert B flat major scale, and what we're going to do is we're going to tongue the first two notes, but we're going to start slurring into the downbeat. Now, of course, ideally, you'd like to do this with the metronome, so you're getting some dexterity, some speed. What I would recommend you do is do this with all 12 keys, and it'll help you gain a little bit of dexterity with the swing style. Speaking of the swing style, the example I like to use here today is bar 13. It's a big string of eighth notes, slurring into the downbeats. Check this out. You may have noticed that I didn't use a triplet feel when I did that, especially with music of the bop era. We don't really use a triplet feel at first. Maybe at the end of the day, we're going to have a little bit of a hint of a triplet feel, but we don't want to use that at the beginning. But what we want to use is our articulation. We want to use our accents. We want to use basically anything else to style as best we can. And next thing I'd like to talk about is we didn't really get too much instruction on this from the composer about articulation or accents, things like that. So when you do find them, example, bar 18, you've got a legato, you've got an accent, and then you've got a house top in bar 19. I'd like to demonstrate that house top. What we want to do is we want to make those fat and with a tongue stop. A lot bigger, a little bit louder than the rest of the line. I am going to start at the end of measure 18 and go into measure 19 to show you that house top accent. We have another example in bar 22 as well. So you'll notice that I'm keeping with the eighth note line, slurring into the downbeats. I'm going to give you one more example. I'm going to do pickup into bar 25, and we've got that house top at the beginning of measure 26. So forth, so on. Mind the articulation. Be sure to observe them as best you can. The other thing I want to talk about is use a metronome. Always use a metronome. You start off at a slow tempo. I know that these etudes can be a little overwhelming, but always use a metronome. Start slow, work it up. I like working up in increments of 4, 120, 124, 128, so forth, so on. To get a little bit of style, you have to immerse yourself in the language. I love Cannonball Adderley's Something Else album. Autumn Leaves It's the track of the very first track of that album, and as it happens, you're gonna have to take a solo on that for this audition. Autumn Leaves, great for style and great for the form of Autumn Leaves. Love for Sale is also a great track. One for Daddy is a great example of a blues. You might also check out his Finest Hour CD, I'll Remember April. If you're into it, you can go look up a story about that song too. That seems to do it. Lots of luck with this audition, and I hope you do well.